All right, you guys. Dynamite tonight. No bueno. And I'm just gonna I'm speaking as a viewer and also as someone who sometimes think like a booker. This was not great. Okay. First thing first, I was embarrassed. Okay. I got into pro wrestling when I was a kid with my grandparents. My grandparents, when they came to America, the easiest thing for them to understand was wrestling. And, without them understanding what they're saying word for word in English, the wrestling was good enough in the 80s for them to definitely enjoy. Now, fast forward to 2023, I'm here with my grandparents, and I've been kind of bragging about AEW and how much I like them or whatever. And today, my grandfather actually sits down and watch with me, and he wasn't feeling it. I was embarrassed. I could not even really explain some of the things that I saw today. And I honestly, Tony Khan, like I've said this a million times, he knows the people who are on his roster are going to get on that pay-per-view, on that show, and kill it. But the booking, the road to those pay-per-views are not great. He is spending not enough time telling stories. He had too many pay-per-views so far this year, too close together, where he can only focus on one pay-per-view at a time. And instead of us getting some long-term stories, we're getting things that are put together a week, 2 weeks before a pay-per-view. Let me not even talk about Ring of Honor pay-per-view, where literally we had no match in less than a week of the pay-per-view, Death Before Dishonor, and it was really great, by the way. But like I said, he's settling with knowing that my guys and girls are going to perform the house down, so I don't have to worry about it. Wrong, Tony Khan. Get your shit together. I am just like so embarrassed with having to try to even explain what was going on today. A pay-per-view, you're all in pay-per-view, supposed to be your biggest show that you've ever done, and it's some lazy ass booking less than 2 weeks away from the show. I don't like it. Now, we do start off with an international title on the line, Orange Cassidy versus Wheeler Yuta. And real talk, they're lucky to go first because they didn't have to follow any foolishness to get us back into being interested in the show. So the match they have is really great. They have great chemistry together. They were friends and whatnot. So they've trained together. They know each other's style and things like that. However, since, Wheeler Yuta has been part of the BCC, he's definitely changed as a heel. He's definitely changed in the ring. And I love seeing that personality of him being a heel in the ring. I love seeing him mocking Orange Cassidy. And that shows that, he's definitely learned a lot from the other members from the BCC. With that being said, we did not have BCC ringside up until like the last 2 or 3 minutes of this match. And once they get there, Mox and Claudio come out from the crowd. And as soon as Orange Cassidy lock eyes with Mox, he gives Wheeler Yuta a paradigm shift. And Moxley's like, okay, bitch, I see you using my move. And then he goes for an orange punch. And he punches him in his fucked up hand that he just keeps using anyway. And now he's off on the side of the ring and he's crying about his hand hurting. Wheeler Yuta takes advantage and go for a pin. And unfortunately, he doesn't end up winning. And like a few seconds later, here's Orange Cassidy taking the win. The second rep said 3. Claudio Castagnoli boots was already in Orange Cassidy's forehead. And you know what? I can co-sign for that type of violence. I'm over Orange Cassidy. Now, they're beating up Orange Cassidy. Best friends come out and they're helping Orange Cassidy. Then here is Penta and Rey Fenix. They come out to help them as well. And Penta was looking absolutely amazing with a suit with no shirt. I don't know, I like that type of style, but it looks great. They're all fighting in the ring, and then music hits, and it's Eddie Kingston. He is back from Japan, and as soon as he starts running down the ramp, here come Claudio, because when it comes to Claudio and Eddie Kingston, whenever they see each other, it's on sight. That's the type of beef I like. So now they're fighting on the ramp or whatnot. Eddie Kingston gets into the ring. Everybody's fighting. BCC decides to retreat because there's only 3 of them and 6 of them. So they got to do what they got to do and leave. Long story short, Eddie Kingston announced that they're going to have a Stadium Stampede match where it's going to be BCC and 3 other people of their choosing to be on their team versus Lucha Brothers, Eddie Kingston, and the Best Friends. And to be honest, I'm not too happy about this because the international title should be on the line. No one anyone who has a title should not be sitting down and not defending those titles. Orange Cassidy's going to be on the show, but the title won't be on the line. I'm going to be quiet just in case they put it on the line a week later at All Out. Either way, it was a great way to start up the show because everything after that, I just didn't care for it. So something important to take away before I continue is that we're getting a build up to the pay-per-view, and tonight I feel like it was a bit of a rush for them to push out these matches that we're supposed to have at All In. They don't want us to look at it like, oh, it's a week away and we don't know what's going on. So I felt like they tried to do too much today, and it just became messy, and it just felt like a sensory overload where it's like, damn, it's too much. The pacing of the show was going too fast. Had Tony taken his time to start pulling out these matches out to the fans to see what's going to be on this card like weeks ago, it wouldn't have felt like too much tonight. Now we do have Kenny Omega and JR. They have a sit down interview, and they're talking about Don Callis and the type of influence that Don has had on Kenny's life. That's great and all, but Kenny, who are you going against at All In? If you're not doing no singles match, come stay with me and watch the pay-per-view and we can just enjoy the show. But instead, here's JR talking about, well, Don Callis basically replaced you with Takeshita, and Kenny's like, the whole Don Callis thing, I don't really want to go into that anymore. I try to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm just trying to move on and do other things with my life. Then here comes Uncle Don out of the blue. I didn't get a chance to hear what he said, and already Jay and Juice attacks Kenny Omega. Then Takeshita gets involved and attacks him as well. And then Kenny is sent to the hospital. Hangman Adam Page in the parking lot of the hospital, posted up next to an ambulance, and he's drinking beer. And long story short, after that boring little promo he did, it's going to be Takeshita, Jay and Juice versus Kenny, Hangman, and Ibushi. And I wasn't really feeling it because I was like, damn, I kind of want to see Kenny in singles action. We're not getting that. I guess I can cry about it later. Either way, it just felt rushed. But I don't mind seeing Kenny in the ring with Jay and Juice. So I think we're going to get something interesting out of that. But either way, it was alright. Now back to the show, we have Don Callis in the ring. He's bringing out Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho got to give his answer about if he's going to be part of Don Callis' family. Now he gets in the ring and he said, look, I'm Chris Jericho. I create factions. I don't join them. So now the fans are like, oh, okay, great. He's not going to join. They're all happy about it. Then Chris Jericho said, yes, I will join. And I'm just like, oh, okay, great. I thought that was pretty interesting. I wonder what the dynamic will be between, Don Callis and Chris Jericho. Now, Don Callis, he's happy about it. He's like, you know what, let's go to the bar and let's have a good time. And Chris Jericho realized in a corner of the ring that there's a painting that's covered. And he's like, oh, before we go, let's go see what the painting. I want to see the painting. I guess he liked the last painting from last time. Now, Don Callis keeps telling him, nah, leave it, man. We'll look at it later. And Chris Jericho goes and take off that whatever it was that was covering the painting. And it turns out to be a painting of Don Callis holding the head of Chris Jericho. And I'm just like, yo, what the hell is this? And basically, Chris Jericho's like, so you did this because you thought I was going to say no. And he kept saying, oh, no, the painter made a mistake. They had the wrong idea. He's basically lying. And Chris Jericho's like, look, bro, I know when you're lying. And they get into a whole little argument. And long story short, you guys, this thing went on way too long, okay? And then here comes Don Callis. He slaps Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho is roughing him up and throws him to the corner of the ring. Then Takeshita comes into the ring with a chair. He doesn't get a chance to hit Chris Jericho, but They start fighting or whatever, and then out of the blue, someone else comes in. But the way the camera's positioned, you can't tell who it is. It's Will Ospreay. Now, I'm happy to say Will Ospreay. He's awesome in the ring. However, once I saw him, I was like, oh no, Chris Jericho versus Will Ospreay. I hope not. And later on, we do get a confirmation when Renee Paquette went to go check up on Chris Jericho. We are definitely getting Will Ospreay versus Chris Jericho. Not what I was hoping for. Up next, we have the Gates of Agony versus Darby Allin and Nick Wayne. Now, the Gates of Agony decided we're not going to wait till these bitches get to the ring. We're going to start putting the hurt onto them. So, I like that. I don't mind it. Now, they already start attacking on Nick and Darby. And here comes Swerve's music being played. Swerve and AR Fox are making their way to the ring. And they're sitting on the ramps watching the beatdown take place. Now, it does start pretty strong for the Gates of Agony against two little shrimps, so who's surprised? Now, unfortunately, somehow Darby ends up winning with a coffin drop onto Khan, and it's like, it probably feels like a paperweight has dropped onto Khan. Darby Allin cannot wait anything. He ends up taking the win, and immediately Darby and Nick, they grab skateboards because they already know that they're about to get attacked by the Mogul Embassy. Now, this match was not bad, but obviously they start off with the heels on fire, and then throughout the commercial break, the heels are in control. And you guys know, once they come back from the commercial break, here comes the baby faces making a comeback and ends up taking the win. I just hate that whole cliche type of thing. It's like, man, can we just go a different direction where it's not so predictable in these matches? Anyway, they're both posted up with skateboards to make sure that they don't get attacked by the Mogul Embassy. And then boom, here is Sting on the big screen. And it's not just Sting, it's Joker Sting. And he is absolutely amazing. I love this personality for him. I like when he's acting all like he's all unhinged. It really works out for him. And this was probably the most entertaining thing on the show to me. Now, while he's doing all this talking, he asks if someone agreed with him. And who was he talking to? Prince Nana. And that's when I was like, yo, Prince Nana was not with the Mogul Embassy, while they were out. So he's usually always there. However, he's being held hostage by Joker Sting. So I didn't mind this. This was pretty cool. Prince Nana was scared as hell. And once the Mogul Embassy sees that he is with Sting, they all booked it to the back so they could go make it to Prince Nana. I really wish they would have shown what would have happened if they, end up finding the room that Prince Nana was in, but they don't. And honestly, I really love seeing Sting like this. It brings so much character to him. For the most part, he's usually quiet and Darby's doing all the talking. You guys already know that they have a coffin match on at All In. So it's going to be Darby and Sting versus Swerve and AR Fox in a coffin match. I am really interested to see how that goes. So now we have MJF and Adam Cole. They're at Outback Steakhouse because it's the holy place for Australians. And if they want to get into the mind of Aussie Open, they need to go to where they would go to. And honestly, I was like, this is borderline racist / discriminatory. I'm cool with it. Now, they end up going there, they eat the food, they like it, and now they want to get back to the drawing board. How can we beat Aussie Open? We have Adam Cole who's suggesting that they watch Crocodile Dundee movies. And then here comes MJF talking about, oh, let's watch kangaroo videos so we can do moves like kangaroos and do a kangaroo kick. And I'm just like, what the hell? What sense does this make? Now, it's funny in the moment or whatever, but still a little bit weird. I like these two guys together. They end up basically stalking one of the wrestlers backstage and giving him a double clothesline. And then Tony Khan calls them to his office where he's yelling at them and basically establishing order back into the AEW. And this is definitely a direct shot to the dirt sheets and everyone else that's been doubting Tony Khan, saying that he don't know how to run his company. And to be honest, all that yelling and shit makes him sound like he has a voice in AEW. However, when Adam and MJF come out the room, you can see that Tony Khan, he just kind of like have a little smile on his face, like he's just playing along. And I'm like, bro, you should have just kept in character this whole time, like not even goofing off or whatever. It was a good moment for all three of these guys, especially Tony Khan, because I do think he's trying to make a statement here. Now we have MJF and Adam Cole. They pull up to the building in a Ferrari, and they split up for a minute because MJF gotta go use the bathroom. And then here's Cole walking away, and Roderick is quickly trying to walk over to Adam Cole. He's calling Adam Cole. Adam Cole is ignoring the hell out of him. He is so mad. He ends up kicking the car in so much frustration. The next, we get a segment in the ring with Adam Cole and MJF, and it went on way too long. So now we're in the ring, MJF and Adam Cole. They're talking, and I'm just going to say this. I don't know what it is, but their promos are getting longer and longer every week. I don't mind hearing what they have to say. Matter of fact, I like everything that they're saying. But this is a 2-hour show. And at this point, it had ran on for so long with everything that happened with the Don Callis and Chris Jericho, the Kenny Omega interview, all those stuff was too much talking at this point. I was just like, you know what, where the match is at? It's just too much. Now, MJF, Adam Cole, they're in the ring. Cole is talking about they're going to win the tag titles, the ROH tag titles from Aussie Open. And then after that, later on in the main event, he's going to take the Triple B from MJF. He's going to do any and everything that he can to win that title. This is the most important match of his career. And even though they're best friends, don't take it personal. This is just what he needs in his career right now, especially after a really long injury that he had for like 9-10 months or whatever. MJF started talking about back when he was in wrestling school and all that stuff, and I'm just like, oh my God, this is gonna be long. He mentions Cody Rhodes. He said something about WWE, and I was just like, oh my God, can we not mention the other company on TV? It's insane. Anyway, took way too long, and by that time, Aussie Open did us a favor and shut them up. They came in and attacked MJF and Adam Cole. However, MJF and Adam Cole does come on top from that attack, and Aussie Open ends up leaving the ring with their titles. And while MJF is facing Aussie Open as they're walking back up the ramp, Adam Cole is behind MJF, and he's in a stance where it's like, it looks like if MJF turned around, he's going to give him a rock bottom. And MJF turned around, no rock bottom or anything, but he does just act all chill. And everybody who's watching, it looks like he's going to attack him, but he doesn't. They end up hugging it out, and they're friends again. And Roderick, he is backstage with the Kingdom. They're watching. Roddy got that neck brace on, and he also got ice on his foot. He's looking like a sore loser. But guys, keep an eye out for these guys on All In. They're definitely going to play a huge role at either the ROH title match or during the main event. I know for a fact something's going to happen with these guys. All right. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre Death match. Jeff Hardy versus Jeff Jarrett. Now, first of all, Jeff Hardy, he makes it to the ring first, okay? And he makes it to the ring. He looks great. Love the face paint, the outfit. Everything is cool. And then he makes it to the back because for whatever reason, Jeff Jarrett is over there. And when he makes it to the back, you can see that there is a wall full of weapons and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. This is probably really going to be like a death match. Wow, where do I even begin? First of all, the back there, wherever they were, it was just a black and red light. So they're trying to make it feel like a horror movie feel or whatever. And at first I was like, okay, I get where they're going. But then the very first person to get involved in this match was Karen Jarrett. Why is she there? I do not know. Now, then Satnam and them, they all get involved, and it takes a couple of minutes before we have Jeff Hardy's family and friends come in. And that red and black light becomes a huge problem because now you really can't tell what the hell is going on. There are so much people. and they're so dark. And then when it gets into picture in picture, you got the commercial that's taking up like 75% of the screen, and the other 20% is picture in picture. And now you can't see shit. The whole screen is just black and red light. You can't tell who's moving. You can't tell who's breathing or not. And it's just like, you can't see a damn thing. And I'm just like, whose idea was this? Who thought that people were going to actually see what's going on? So throughout the commercial break, you can't tell what the hell is going on because of the lighting situation. And then by the time commercial was over, we're finally getting everybody out from backstage, and now they're making their way out from the ramp, and they're fighting around where the commentators are at. And I'm just like, man, we just lost a good portion of this match because of lighting. They bring it to the ring, and it's Jeff Jarrett with Jeff Hardy and everybody that's with Jeff Hardy. They're all in the ring. And it's just like, this is so messy. And long story short, it seems like Jeff is going to take the win because none of Jeff Jarrett friends are around. And then they end up coming out of the blue and helping Jeff Jarrett. And then you're hearing this really weird, loud ass sound. And at first I thought it was a lawnmower, my dumb ass, I don't know why. But then it turns out that it's Leatherface making his way down to the ramp with a chainsaw. That shit was so loud. He makes his way down to the down the ramp. He confronts somebody, I forgot who it was, but then ultimately his eyes was on Karen Jarrett. He ended up following her all the way to the back with the chainsaw. And it is really awkward. But what makes it even more awkward was that was a huge distraction, and Jeff is distracted. So then that's when Jeff Jarrett's friends, they attack Jeff. They put Jeff Jarrett's lifeless body onto Jeff Hardy and goes for the pin, and Jeff Jarrett ends up winning the match. Too many Jeffs, you guys. Jeff Jarrett wins the match, and they hand him over a title. I'm like, what the fuck is that? It's a title with Leatherface face on it. It is the most awkward thing I've ever seen in a pro wrestling ring. Well, there's probably been worse, but it's close to one of the worst. Honestly, they're celebrating after that. None of them decides to get out the ring and go see if Karen is okay. That's the most awkward part. They're just celebrating like none of that should even happen. Honestly, I think that this should have been a match that they should have saved, that they could have done on the Hardy compound or something. I do think that then they would have had a little bit more creative control and freedom to make it actually look good versus the bullshit we saw tonight with that match. Do not watch this. It's not worth it. So now we have Britt Baker versus the Bunny. This is so predictable. We also had Penelope Ford ringside, Butcher and the Blade, Kip Sabian, they all there, whatever. But for a women's match, obviously she's going to need Penelope to help her. Well, honestly, she don't even really need that. So anyway, Penelope does get involved and she's hurting Britt. Now, why they need someone like Penelope to be ringside to be doing that is to make Britt Baker look more favorable here with the fans. They want you to feel sorry that this is supposed to be a one-on-one match, but she's getting beat up by two bitches here. And it's just like, oh my God, they really want to push Britt Baker down on us. Now, but the Bunny, she hasn't been around in quite some time. She's been injured. So in a way, you kind of don't want her to win. But with all this foolishness that you're hearing Britt Baker's name in the dirt sheets and all that stuff, it kind of already does make her look bad. And a lot of people don't want her to win. And they do exactly what you don't want, which is Britt Baker winning this match. It is so predictable how the whole thing happened. The match itself was not bad. But after you already sat through about an hour and a half of a show that gave us more talking than wrestling, at this point, I was already kind of over it and almost thinking about changing the channel. Now, next, we do have the Acclaim. They're in the match with God knows who it was. I saw them for a split second. They have their little rap coming down to the ring. They have Daddy Ass's boots in their hand. And then they get into the ring. And as they're facing the crowd, the light goes off. And I'm like, holy crap, we're having another technical difficulty. But it turns out to be House of Black. House of Black, they annihilate the Acclaim. And after they beat them up and they're bloody and shit, they end up taking Daddy Ass's boots. So I'm pretty sure that whole saga is going to continue at Collision. That whole time, people are just chanting for Daddy Ass as if he's going to just get off his couch, come out of retirement, and go help Max and Anthony. Like, they're grown. They can handle their own business at this point. Either way, it kind of feels like we're probably going to get Daddy Ass at All In. So now on for the main event, Young Bucks versus the Guns. And I'm not going to lie to you, I completely forgot about this. And that's important to say because the Young Bucks did say that without them, nobody would be watching or whatever the hell they said the other day. Apparently not, boys. I didn't even remember y'all was on the card. Now, I'm actually happy to see the Guns in this type of situation because since they've been part of Bullet Club Gold, you see a little bit of a change with them, but we have not seen them too much in the ring compared to what we've been seeing with Jay and Juice. So I do like that to get a chance to have this opportunity. However, with all the foolishness that we had already had throughout the night, this just kind of made me feel a little over it by the main event. It was just too much going on, and every single moment of this show was an attack, whether it was during a match, after a match, during a segment, whatever, during an interview. Do you know how tiring that is to see that everybody needs to be attacked for 2 freaking hours? It is way too much. This shows me that Tony and whoever the hell is writing these shows are not thinking outside the box. And how can we have people have conflict without there being constant attacks? And it's just like, if you watch the show and think back, the whole thing was just attacks in every single scene. It's annoying. Now, the main event is okay. It's the better match out of all the matches. No, I'm lying. I preferred Wheeler Yuta and Orange Cassidy match. And like I said, by the time you get to the main event, you're already exhausted from all the bullshit from all night. And the match is okay. I really want to see more of the Guns because if they're going to be in Bullet Club Gold with Jay and Juice, they're going to have to step it up more in the ring. Now, the Young Bucks end up taking the win by cheating, okay? I forgot which brother was covering who, but the other brother ends up holding his leg down on the rope so that whoever he was covering could not break it. So it is what it is. So then the rest of the Bullet Club Gold members come out and attack the Bucks. And then here comes FTR music hitting. They don't come down the ramp. They come out through the crowd for whatever reason. I don't know. They end up hitting a shatter machine on, I think, Juice or Jay, whichever one it was. And they end up leaving. So now we have the Young Bucks and FTR staring down each other in the ring, and that's how the show ends. I'm just going to be honest, this is one of the worst episodes I've ever seen, and I really feel like with pro wrestling, you can't rush things. Timing is really important. And I keep saying this before every pay-per-view that Tony Khan's going to learn that timing is important with pro wrestling and not to rush it and not give things last second. You've had all this month since the last pay-per-view to already been putting things in place for All In. You had way more before this month to put things in place. And instead you waited till what is it, 11 days away or whatever, to try to shove things down people's throat and expect people not to get overwhelmed with all this stuff. It's insane. At the end of the day, I think the pay-per-view is going to be really, really great, but you're frustrating people along the road. You want someone to pay $50 for All In, and then the next fucking weekend you want them to pay another $50 for All Out. I have not heard about no discounts as of today. So Tony, get with it with the discounts for these pay-per-views. If you want people to watch them, the build-up and the journey to the pay-per-view has to be just as attractive as the pay-per-view itself. And when you don't do that, people don't want to buy. Either way, you guys, I was really frustrated with this. I'm pretty sure we're going to get some frustration with Rampage too. So I'm kind of looking forward to Collision to kind of smooth things out in terms of what we're getting with AEW this week. Guys, thanks so much for watching my review. I'll be back tomorrow with ROH.